Good evening, and thank you for joining me at Music Today. This is Keitaro Harada. The concept of the show is to bring in an artist each episode and have a conversation with the artist about a performance we will all watch and listen together. The live component is very important because I highly encourage all of you to comment and ask questions to the guest artist. Even if you're shy, please say at least a hello or a smiley face so that we know you're there and watching. The idea of doing the show came about when COVID-19 hit, and I wanted a platform to keep the music going for our fans. Even though we may not be able to experience live performances together right now, I wanted a place where music lovers can join easily to converse with the artist and to see a more personal side of us. Music Today is a bilingual show. The live streams during your evening will be in English, and the live streams that broadcast during your morning time is usually in Japanese for the fans in Japan. If you want to improve on your Japanese skills, you're more than welcome to watch a live stream, or after the live stream, you can click on the subtitle button here and YouTube automatically puts in subtitles so you can listen in Japanese and read it in English. Very excited for tonight's show because tonight's show is show number 60. I've been doing 2 a day, both in Japan and US, and then I get to celebrate my number 60. Without further ado, I'd like to bring in our guest for tonight. Since we on this side cannot hear you applaud, please do me a huge favor and use the comment screen at the bottom to put some clapping emoji, or you can write clap, 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 so we know you're there and cheering for the show. Please welcome special guest, conductor, maestro, Norman Huynh. Hi, Norman.
Hey, Kay.
How are you?
Doing well. I was just wondering, is that saxophone waiting music? Was that you playing?
I'm not going to tell you the answer to
that. I like it.
And I should have put on some euphonium music today, just to honor you.
Yes.
That would have been great. Thank you, Catherine, for sending some clapping emoji from Savannah. So for our viewers, I just wanted to say a quick word about Norman and I. We've been friends for
a while.
10 plus years. 12 years?
11? Maybe
11
10?
years. What year was the workshop? Do you remember?
2010, I think.
10. I think it was 10.
Yeah.
So 2010, and then we've been friends since. We were state neighbors. I was a student in the state of Georgia. I'm back in Georgia again, my home sweet home, and Norman was studying in Alabama. So we're just right
Roll Tide.
nearby. And I was studying saxophone and you were studying euphonium, but we both
Yep.
kind of got the conductor bug and we ended up at conducting workshops together. We even shared a teacher, Adrian Gram, for a little bit. And
Yeah.
we've been friends for a long time. But I want to share a quick photo of us. This is the most recent photo of us in Cincinnati. So good times.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
It looked like I had way more sun back then. I look more tan.
That is true. But I've always treasured the friendship that I've had with you. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Same. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Let's go to music. Copland Appalachian Spring. Tell us about this music.
So this music was performed with the Oregon Symphony. 2 years ago. We had Edgar Meyer on as a guest artist, and so we were sort of developing a Americana kind of program. So we actually opened the concert with Appalachian Spring, and Edgar Meyer was in the middle and finished with William Grant Still's Afro-American Symphonies. But Appalachian Spring is a piece by Aaron Copland. It was composed in 1944, and he won the Pulitzer Prize for it. But this music that we're going to hear soon has the very famous shaker melody. That 'tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free. That melody that we all learned either on a recorder or in elementary school sometime. And it's ballet written for Martha Graham, and it was premiered at the Library of Congress. And it's one of, I think, probably one of the most beloved American pieces that has been written to date. It's just, it paints just such a beautiful picture of simple American life, about a couple who sort of reflects on life before they get married and before they move into a house together. And Martha Graham introduces 4 different characters to sort of give them guidance for their marriage.
You know, we always associate Copland with being Americana, especially, you know, the Appalachian Spring is one prime example of it sounding very American and American theme. What do you think it is about Copland's harmony or Copland's writing style that does make us think it's American?
I think probably with this piece in particular, his use of a folk song, an American folk song that is steeped in the American tradition. And I think his use of rhythms, sort of these Western rhythms and orchestration, and these very beautiful harmonies, these major 9 chords and major 7s, you know, they're just so they're so special and they shimmer. And it's kind of, we get more of it in the orchestral arrangement or transcription, I think, with use of the wood blocks and things like that. So but one of my favorite Copland pieces doesn't sound American at all. It's his orchestral variations. Have you done that piece?
I've never done it, but I've only heard it and I've studied a little bit of it. But that is very not Americana. That's true. So we're listening to the famous melody, the shaker tune here.
So this is from. Just want to tell everyone who's watching that this is from obviously someone's cell phone. It's at the very front row. I would get in a little bit of trouble if I used my own footage. But this is okay because someone else is recording it.
You know, you just never can control your audience, but sometimes I found this video online and you didn't even know this existed.
No. It's like, oh my gosh.
Hi Boone, thanks for joining.
Boone.
And Erin, hello.
So this is my little sister, Hannah. So we're here now on the this famous shaker melody, and he passes it around. to the different sections in the orchestra.
I like that your audience had some camera.
Right,
camera,
he's panning over to he knows what's going on.
It's such a beautiful piece, like
Incredible, and something that we can all do during COVID. The 13 instrument version, which is even more tender.
Have you done the smaller, the original 13?
I think in like a workshop setting I have, but not live.
I feel like we were in a workshop together that did the 13 version.
Probably. Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
We've done mini workshops. I'm sure that's something that's popped up with like Roger and.
Yeah, most definitely. I want to make sure that we share a little bit of the ending, which is one of the most gorgeous harmonies in this Copland Appalachian Spring. What are some images? Of course, this without the ballet, you have to create sort of this, depict the storyline just with the music, but what goes in your head as you conduct towards the end of this music, whether it be visual, whether it be colors, what's going in your mind towards the end of this Appalachian Spring?
For me, it's kind of just a remembrance of a past, sort of letting go of this past and optimism for the future. And it's a sort of almost restatement of the opening of the piece too. So it sort of has that nostalgia feel, but it sort of ends in this nice open, beautiful C major, and you have the harp. At least in this here, you have the harp.
Yes,
it's just so beautiful. Yeah.
Bravo.
Or the cello. I forgot. One of those.
That's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And that open harmony at the end is just so magical. So
it is.
It just kind of stays there. A little hello from Heather from
Louisville,
Kentucky. Hi, thank you for joining us. Well, let's transition the conversation to you. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing and how you were introduced to music, and what was your turning point in choosing music as a career, and how you got the conductor bug.
Okay, so I was born and raised in Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama. And
you're slowly losing your accent, by the way. I feel like
there are a couple of words where there's some twang, or if I'm a couple drinks in or really tired, then it comes out. There are a couple like violet. Anyways, I digress.
Continue.
So born and raised in Alabama, and grew up in a non-musical family. My parents actually are, they both came here from other countries. My mom is an immigrant from Taiwan, and my father is a refugee from Vietnam. And they owned a Chinese restaurant. So I am a restaurant prodigy, I think. I can run the crap out of a restaurant. But I'm just kidding. But my memories are sort of running around, playing under the tables, doing homework, in the booths and playing in the back, helping peel carrots. And one day my cousin brought home a trombone, and I was just very fascinated by it. Oh my God, a trombone. And this was around 4th grade. And eventually I just thought, okay, I can't play an instrument until I join the band in middle school. So eventually I did that, picked up the trombone in 7th grade, eventually switched over to euphonium in high school because we needed a baritone in the marching band. And I just switched over to euphonium and concert band, and found my teacher, DeMondre Thurman, who's incredible at the University of Alabama. And it was about my sophomore year that I decided to take conducting lessons from the choral teacher, Dr. Ratledge. And it was also around this time that I was discovering orchestral music for the first time, because in Alabama, it's just band. Very few string programs. And yeah, I remember, so for me, knew it all. That I had always wanted to be a conductor, whether that was in the beginning music education and wanting to be a band director, or Nelly, sorry, and sorry, that's the dog, and
Nelly could join.
if Nelly can join if she's being skeptical over there.
I'll bring my dog, and then you can bring your dog. How's
that? And the point for me where I knew I wanted to be an orchestral conductor was after, in my sophomore year, I was sitting in my room. This is kind of anticlimactic, but I remember sitting in my room. I had some headphones on, and I was listening to Simon Rattle's final concert with the City of Birmingham Symphony. And it was the last 15 minutes of Mahler 2. And it was the first time I had seen Rattle or heard Mahler. And I was just like blown away as, oh my God, this is what I want to do, conduct this music. So I eventually just, Caleb and I, who's going to be a guest on your show, put together this group of musicians so we could make some tapes, and we did, then you start taking the steps of going to workshops, meeting colleagues, meeting someone like you to be like, hey, you're just a couple of steps ahead of me. Like, what do I do next? What are the grad schools that I go for? So it was like really nice to have sort of that like role model to look up to, and someone to sort of mentor during those young years, because you can kind of feel overwhelmed and lost and like, where do we go next? And but yeah, that's kind of how that ended up.
One of I feel that a great decision for your career building was going to Peabody and studying with the legendary Gustav Meyer. Tell us about your experience with him.
Yeah, Mr. Meyer, I miss him so much. For people watching, he is my conducting teacher and passed away in 2000. It was 2016, I believe.
2016. Yep,
in June. But yeah, studying with him, I remember looking up grad programs in Peabody. I'm not sure why, but I just remember having this like attraction to it and thinking, oh, I really want to go to Peabody, and then doing more research and finding out about Mr. Meyer, and went and watched and audited some of his workshops and visited Peabody. But that program was really special because he flew in from Michigan all the time to teach us, and he's all about like his teaching style is all like everything is grounded in the core. Show the music, and instead of like just conducting a beat pattern, like what's going on in the music, and like show that in a kind of way that's outside of just a normal 1-2 death to the ictus. That's what he would say. But he was just so warm, and his personality was very radiant, and you could feel just how much he loves music. And that was really I think seeing someone his age who has so much experience and can still get up in front of an orchestra and have 50 times more energy than all of us young people who are just sitting there watching in awe. But yeah, he's definitely someone that I think about all the time, especially when I study or conduct.
The few times I had an opportunity to do master classes under his guidance was just so memorable, and I always remember it was always producing music from your gut, from your soul, from the inside. From music had to be living, and it had to have a voice, and it wasn't about beats. Nothing was about beats. It was about carrying the dialogue through the language of music, through your body, and making sure that your body looks the music. And just the students, the conductors that Mr. Meyer produced has been just amazing, including yourself, Norman. But like, just a lot of great conductors have come out of that program. because of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Incredible
wonderful.
guy.
Indeed. So, tell us about this new exciting appointment at Bozeman.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So
Very, very
I
happy.
just recently named the music director of the Bozeman Symphony in Bozeman, Montana. Oh, there's Caleb. Hey, Caleb. And it's this,
Hi, Caleb.
applying to Bozeman, I really didn't know much about the town. And what I heard going into it was, oh, this is one of the best ski places in the world. The nature out there is beautiful. And it is that. I mean, it's like, it is such a magical place. It's almost like Aspen before it was, like Aspen before, but with like a very strong local presence. So yeah, this has been really exciting because it's my first sort of official music directorship, and
when was your first visit with them?
In last December. And I kind of did it was a mix of sort of lighter classical stuff, and I threw in like a Christmas Carol sing along at the end of the concert. That was sort of my, here's how I'm going to win the job piece. Carol sing along. And yeah, I started June 1st, and it's just been an incredible experience. I was there, the music director announcement was on my birthday. Fantastic. And yeah, it's just been really nice getting to know the community. I've never just met a community that really just supports the arts like Bozeman. It's pretty incredible. Everyone that you go around to, or everyone that you meet, you say, oh, here with the Bozeman Symphony, or et cetera. Like, oh my God, I love the symphony. Or they'll say, oh, I don't know the symphony, and they'll get tickets to come see the show. That's what happened. There were like 10 people that came because I told them that I was here for the Bozeman Symphony. Here's the biggest cake that I've ever gotten in my life. This is a Welcome Norman cake.
Was it planned to do your announcement on your birthday?
No, we had a couple of dates set, and that Monday was kind of like the only one that would work. So
I see.
It was a nice birthday present.
That's so awesome. And it was digitally announced too, I'm assuming.
Yes. So we did because Montana's in phase 2, and so we could have a small gathering. We invited some close patrons and people who were on the search committee, and also opened it up to a Zoom meeting. So there were, I think, over like 150 people that were tuned in. And so I was talking to you. This is a picture of me talking to those people on Zoom.
Excellent.
And so to the left is Emily Paris Martin. She's the executive director, and Stephen Schachman, who is the board chair.
Are you at an art gallery?
Yes.
Okay.
One of like 5 on Main Street. It's pretty crazy in this small little town in Montana. So this beautiful is just literally 2 minutes outside of the city. There's this trail network that goes all throughout Bozeman, and it's a cool, really, really magical place to be. We're gonna do a lot of really great things there, I think. I know.
So it's your first music director position. What do you envision to do as let's say like your 3-year plan or 5-year plan? How do you want to bring this orchestra forward to shape it into what you envision? What is that thing that you're trying to achieve?
So right now we only offer 6 classical concerts. They're all doubles. And I think there's a lot of room to expand our offerings. There's no pop series. There's the orchestra currently is dark in the summers. So one of the things that came up is, for me is, okay, I can introduce a different kind of series, whether that's a pop series or a chamber music series. Another thing is everyone in the community is really in support of a summer music festival.
Mm-hmm.
So that is going to be probably the next 3 years is starting a summer music festival, because Bozeman is a destination town. It's about an hour and 20 minutes outside of Yellowstone National Park, and you actually have to fly to Bozeman, then drive to Yellowstone. But so I think a summer music festival would go really, really well there. Yeah, and also just to raise more awareness of the Bozeman Symphony. There is strong support, but like all places, the symphony orchestra, I think, is trying to be have more of a visual awareness in their community. And so one of the things that I want to do is commission composers to write music that is relevant to the people that live there, or relevant to the times that we're currently living in. And kind of present music and programs in that way.
So I love that the orchestra. I was looking through your website, and there was one of the programs that you do, which is the Young Artist Competition, giving opportunities for young musicians to perform with the Montana Symphony Orchestra. That's wonderful that you give. The organization gives those kinds of opportunities. Very important in building the education program. So I encourage. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's like, I think you're right, and that those programs are important. You've benefited from the top, and that highlights up and coming talent and sort of opens the next door to something else that then opens the next door. So it is. It's very important, and I'm excited that they had already had something like that.
Well, and then being familiar, we've been friends for over 10 years, and being familiar with the output of music activities and the energy that you give out to the community through, the past few organizations that you've been with. I know Bozeman Symphony is just extremely lucky to have you, because you're such a borderless conductor. Because you come from a place where you conduct the classics very well, but you also are very comfortable performing the pops repertoire. You're very comfortable performing the movie repertoire, and rock and jazz, and you just have it all. And music is still music, no matter what. You're sort of like genreless, right? You're providing music, and as long as music is there, it doesn't matter if it's Beethoven or Ellington, and so or John Williams. And so I'm very excited to see how the journey with the Bozeman Symphony coming up. So this is very exciting time. So really, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. For those who are watching, the symphony website is bozemansymphony.org. So please do visit whenever you get a chance and check out their activities. Does going to Bozeman mean that you're leaving Oregon?
No. So I am still keeping my position with the Oregon Symphony as their associate conductor, which is something that I just finished my 4th season there this past season. And I've grown so much working with this orchestra and group of musicians, not only musically, and but also seeing how sort of a professional full-time orchestra is run is really great.
I still remember, you came from, you spent such a wonderful tenure in Portland Symphony in Maine. In Maine with music director Bob Moody, and there was such a tight bond, and it almost looked like during those years that you're never going to leave the Portland Symphony, because you had such a face in Portland, Maine, and you loved it there. And then I remember, when you were taking the Oregon Symphony audition, I think we talked before the audition, and then we immediately talked after the audition when you had won. You just jumping from one Portland to the other Portland.
I know.
And I know, I recall our conversation, how excited you were, but also very sad to leave Portland Symphony, because that was your first big professional step.
Yeah.
But what you've been doing at Oregon Symphony these past 4 seasons during your tenure is just it's beyond me. You've done so much great things for the community.
Yeah, it's the first, like, coming to Oregon. What's so cool about the Oregon Symphony is that we have our normal, like, 18 classical subscription series. We have our 5 pop series, but then we have like 30 concerts of specials, one-off special concerts. And these concerts, like, I never thought in my life that I would be performing with, like, Smokey Robinson on stage, Gregory Alan Isakov, to, like, Itzhak Perlman. It's like that wide range of genres of music that we do in Oregon. It's just it's crazy. It's awesome.
I want to share this quick photo where it has Oregon Symphony. This is at your concert hall.
Yeah, and this is also a pretty dope marquee to have, like, your name up all the time, and, like, on the line. Like, it's the, like, coolest. It's the coolest thing. Like, I always, there's me with Itzhak. We did the Beethoven Violin Concerto this past year, and Storm Large, and Pink Martini. This was some movie stuff. Wyclef Jean, the Hips Don't Lie with Shakira, and Puddles. It's just like, it's an incredible range. I did a concert with Pink Martini on the first half, and then the finale of Beethoven 9, the last movement of Beethoven 9, on the second half.
Yeah, that's like really kept repertoire.
Yeah, it's like fantastic. It's a really, you have to be very flexible, because those things are like next day, or like a kid's concert next day. It's
exactly.
Just,
tell us about the shoes.
So the audience here in Portland know, but whenever I do film concerts or any sort of special popular concerts, I always wear red sneakers, red Air Force Ones. And for these, I specifically got on the Nike website you can customize your shoes. And so for this, I put Norman on the back, because why not?
Super cool. Well, I want us to talk a little bit about your recent new project with the Oregon Symphony, which is the Symphony Storytime. Could you share us what this program is about?
Yeah, so Symphony Storytime is first off, this whole Oregon Symphony has switched to digital, sort of almost like a media company. And so Symphony Storytime rose to the top because we know that there are a lot of parents who are staying at home with their kids and homeschooling. And so we thought, okay, well, how can we put out content that's entertaining and educational for kids and their parents? And Symphony Storytime is a program that we've already had with the Multnomah County Library here in Portland. And so they we formed a little team of me and 3 other people, and I sort of was the artistic lead on this, and which was crazy because, like, I had no idea the details that have to go into making a kids show like this, like everything from like transition to how the stage looks and like the setting and like building a set and all this stuff and like coming up with the script outline and finding how the book is going to lay on the screen. So it's been really eye-opening but also very fun. We've had so much press on this here in Portland, and we did a bunch of English episodes, but I also wanted episodes to be entirely in Spanish because we have a pretty strong Spanish-speaking community here. And so, yeah, there are these awesome episodes that where each episode a narrator reads the story, and then there's also paired with a musician who is improvising or playing music to the illustrations that's on there. I encourage everyone to check this out because it's produced at a really high level, and I think it's a show that right now on the web there's a lot of Zoom-like things that are happening, performances, but this was meant to be done at a high value production level. So it's awesome.
Would you guide us to how we can get there from the Oregon Symphony homepage?
Yeah, so if you go to the homepage and just scroll down a little bit, so orsymphony.org, and then it's right at the very, so go up a little bit, and it's just right there. Once upon a time.
Oh, it's already at the very top. Yeah, and then watch it now. Then, perfect.
Yep. Yeah.
Easy to find. Great.
But yeah, everything was like supplying the vision for what the logo might look like to our designer. It was just crazy. Definitely flex different muscles.
Yeah, it's wonderful that it's not too long, and it's these episodes are about 15 minutes long. Just right amount of time to keep especially the little kids attention span, and keep it entertaining but educational. So wow, really, really wonderful. Kudos to you for doing this. What a great way to use the COVID-19 time that you have. With all of my guests that have appeared, I always ask about current affair, and so my first question to you is, tell us how Black Lives Matter means to you and how it influences your musical activities.
So the Black Lives Matter movement, I'm happy that it's happening. I'm like that there's finally this movement, but also I'm thinking, why did it take so long too? I saw a lot of this injustice when I was growing up in Alabama. The high school I went to was 98% African American, and I was actually the minority in my high school. But I saw, like, I was just treated differently, and so for me, it's nice to see that there is this movement, but I hope it keeps moving along, and it's challenged me to think about my own reflections on systemic racism and how it's sort of impacted me and how I have contributed to that my entire life. And I would say for me, musically, it definitely, especially with programming music, it makes me stop and think, okay, am I being biased here just because my tunnel vision goes just naturally towards the repertoire that we always do, but like,
which is predominantly white and male.
Right, exactly. So I have to pause myself in that. Okay, now like, let me do my research and find pieces of music that have been just historically suppressed in our field. So pieces by women composers, by Black composers, by Asian composers, like where can I, and just listen, for me, it's just a lot of listening right now. And where can I have these pieces, like one of the things that I really want to do is, I love the music of William Grant Still, and I want to do a cycle of his symphonies, which there aren't that many recordings of. So just trying to find those opportunities and just continuing to educate myself and having conversations like this has been helpful. So that's part of sort of how it's been playing a role in my life.
It has brought us to a place where we have the responsibility to act and accept, and to have the courage to continue to make a difference, because it has been presented so face forward in front of us. And I always think that orchestras around the world, well, especially in the US, especially, we've kind of done it very not the right way, because we would only feature African American composers during Black History Month, and it's like
Right.
one concert in the 54 weeks that we have, which is not the right thing to do. That already itself is, I think, is racist. So I am very thankful for organizations like the Sphinx competition, who bring out the minority musicians, for giving us an opportunity to recognize those soloists. And then Rachel Barton Pine's foundation has a whole list of composers that are African American, and it's just amazing that there had been so much resource ready to go, and then it's now our responsibility to make use of it.
Yeah, like when I posted on, or actually when I got this music director position with Bozeman, just one of the things I thought to myself is, now there's no excuse, in terms of programming. It's on me to bring to life music that's been just by composers that's been traditionally suppressed.
Exactly. And I think what a great timing to get a music director position, Norman, because you can really voice the way you feel and how to shape with your musicians the course of the history moving forward with the Bozeman Symphony. So it's a wonderful opportunity. The other social and current affair that I always talk about with our guests is COVID-19. So performing music has become such a routine activity for all of us for so many years. We've never had to really think about, is there an audience or is there not an audience? There was always an audience, right? We've been fortunate. Then all of a sudden, because of this world crisis, performing in public has become extremely difficult. How has your attitude towards music and performing for an audience changed?
I don't think my attitude has changed for music specifically, but definitely in the way we present to an audience has changed. So I think the things that at least for me, that catch my eye online we've seen so much stuff come out from orchestras, soloists, musicians. The things that have caught my attention are the ones that are done very well at like a high production quality. And so for me in Bozeman, what I'm thinking about is, okay, well, here we can get together as an orchestra, socially distanced, but if we can't have a full audience, what else can we do to still get what we're doing on stage out there to the entire community? So I'm talking to a film director actually to talk about, because I feel like having someone who knows the video medium and a director to help tell a story through visually. Talking to a film director, and how can we present? I want to present this idea of the Bozeman Symphony in this incredibly beautiful setting of Bozeman, Montana, and what something like that might look like. So is that us performing in a field in front of a ranch that's surrounded by all these mountains, playing Beethoven Pastoral? I don't know. It could be. And spotlighting musicians. I think this also gives us an opportunity to showcase our musicians more on an individual level and tell their story, so that when we can all finally get back together, my goal is that people sitting in the audience will know the story of the concertmaster, the story of the second clarinetist, and can just relate to them because we've put out content to prepare them for that.
Excellent. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and it's same thing. It's then you get to all the logistical stuff, like there's not a big stage in Bozeman, so we're gonna have to crunch down to like 8 to 15 musicians, and then researching the pieces for that, and how can we get people in and out of the hall safely, and all of those things. But yeah, for me, I think we have an opportunity to showcase the people that make up the orchestra and create things. I also want to bring a composer to experience Montana, sort of a writing retreat almost in a cabin, to then write one or two composers to write a piece about their experience in Montana. That way we have pieces ready for world premieres when we can all get back together. So having things in the can ready to go when we can come back. But yeah, there are a lot of fun options, and yeah, we should actually talk after this about what your plans are in Savannah and how you are navigating things.
Well, I could share you some of the things that we've already done. As you said, that creating digital content is extremely crucial during this time, because we want to keep our patrons and our fans in our community to understand that the symphony still exists, and we are trying, we are doing our best based on making sure that safety comes first, but we want to provide music. Right when the pandemic hit, I started a series every Monday of featuring a musician where I do an interview just like this. And we talk about what's going on in their lives right now, and then why they love performing for the Savannah Philharmonic, what was their introduction to music, and very similar to this conversation, but specifically for Savannah. So that, and I feature our musicians and also our chorus members. So every Monday on the eBlast, our patrons get an email to watch what we call the Savphil Music Monday, and they get to know a musician more. And then the thing is, like, just like you, I'm starting my music director position in Savannah. This is very new to me. I'm designate as of today. I finished my designate year today, and then I'm actually the music director without designate starting tomorrow. But I know, right? It's just turning the chapter. But for me, I'm completely new, so I get to learn about the musician on a one-on-one basis, and they get to know me better. And then in totality, the audience who are watching it gets to know the organization and me and the musician better. So it's sort of like a win-win-win situation. But of course, with any digital content, you're completely aware of this. It gets boring, it gets because
redundant.
there's so much digital content right now going on. So my artistic team and I have been thinking of different ideas of, okay, what do we do next? How can we bring music part of this digital creation, and then live streaming it? And the moment that orchestras the size of us and Bozeman, we can't really compete with the Berlin Philharmonic or the New York Philharmonic. There's just no way. And once we go online, our competition is the entire world, right? So how do we make our digital content catered towards just us and for our community? What makes ours so special? So the way you were mentioning about bringing in a composer to stay in Bozeman to compose about their experience, that's amazing. That's like so specific to your town. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's cool because we're both so incredibly lucky that, one, that we're music directors of an orchestra, but also, two, is that we were talking a little bit about this before, that we have orchestras in destination towns.
Yes.
And they're destination places because there's something so specific and unique about that city, whether it's Savannah and the history and the architecture and the food, and Bozeman with the outdoor nature, hiking, fishing, skiing. So I think we have a sort of an up on what makes us. We can create sort of carve out a little niche for ourselves that no one else in the world can, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I want to share a photo that I think really means a lot to you.
Ooh, yeah.
Tell us about this picture.
So this picture, if you look on the left, that is John Williams' signature 2 years ago, I got called from LA and was like, "Hey Norman, can you hop on a flight today to come cover for John Williams?" And I was like, "Okay." And and I was actually doing A New Hope with orchestra the following week. So I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to bring this score." And if I have the chance to meet him, there's so much security backstage and stuff. But anyways, I got to meet him and brought in my score. Maestro, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm doing A New Hope next week and would love if you wouldn't mind signing my score for me. And he took the score, and these are huge pieces.
Yes, they're
plots it down.
Gigantic.
They're enormous. It's makes the traveling so crazy. Anyways, and then he looks at the score and he turns and just flips through for a minute, and then he just goes, "This was a good one."
as if he was gonna say, "This was a bad one." What are you?
So yeah, he signed my score, and I was like, well, I definitely need to get this framed, because this is like getting Beethoven to sign one of his symphonies. It's such a treasure for me. So now it's hanging up on my wall, and I got it custom framed. It's the most I've ever spent on a framing job.
Yes.
It's got the museum quality glass, so the sun doesn't fade it. And yeah,
I love that. I love that the framing is yellow for the Star Wars color.
Yep.
It's very, very nice.
That was done by the framer. I was like,
oh really?
This actually matches the Star Wars exactly font.
That's really cool, which, we're all very familiar with that yellow and the black. One of the things that Norman and I have in common, in addition to the many things that we have already expressed, is that we do a fair amount of film concerts, live with orchestra. So we show a film in a big screen, and then we conduct the orchestra live. And part of that repertoire is the John Williams scores, the Harry Potter, Star Wars, Indiana Jones.
So fun.
And it's just great. I had Sarah Hicks as one of my guests about 2 weeks ago, who probably does the most number of the movie scores of all the conductors out there. What is it that you enjoy about doing the film scores?
For me, it's kind of two things. The first one is that this is music that I fell in love with first before I knew I loved music. I just always remembered, I love the music to Jurassic Park, E.T., Harry Potter. Harry Potter, even Harry Potter. And so that is one. It's just like conducting, your favorite music. You're just smiling the entire time. And two is that I love video games and grew up playing video games. So syncing something up to a click track, or not a click track, but I don't use a click track anymore, but on the screen is just so fun to me. It's like a different technical exercise where I can exercise my musical brain, but also exercise my Guitar Hero gaming brain to sync things up. And my favorite moments are if things get slightly out of
sync,
slightly out of sync in between things, and to find your brain has to be oh my god, how can I bring this back, move it, and then you line it back up. But those are the fun. They're just so fun.
They are just so fun. And I feel that a lot of nowadays the 21st century conductors, we really have to be able to do the symphony stuff, but also these kinds of film concert. And it's a completely different trick that we do, the way we conduct these shows. And some people love it, some people just absolutely hate it. And probably because there are more people who don't like doing this, you and I get opportunities to come and conduct a lot of these. But I one of my favorite things about doing these film concerts is the audience. because
Yes,
you get
I was thinking
people
about
that
that.
are just they've never heard a symphony live ever before,
Mhm.
and they come to these concerts as if it's a rock concert,
Yeah,
and they're
it's
just
so fun.
screaming, they're just cheering, they're crying, they're the entire movie, they're awing, they're oohing,
Yeah.
and it's so loud, and it's amazing. It's the energy that the audience brings is just, you know,
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
So
And yeah, it's and that, and I don't know if there are any young budding conductors watching, but I would say, I don't know if you feel the same way, Kay, but like there are a lot of opportunities that I got to work with an orchestra that I would have never gotten an opportunity for had it not been for being on a list for a film. And
that's the
and
same.
then yeah, and then you do a good job, and then you get reinvited to come back and do something else, you know, because
Exactly.
these things aren't easy, and musicians in the orchestra will notice when you're doing a good job and will tell, hey, we should bring him or her back to do something else. And
Exactly.
that's kind of like how my relationship with St. Louis felt. Is like I
Yeah.
started with a movie and then it just kept being more and more from there. So
It's that it's that blind date, you know, going to the movie
right,
together.
exactly.
And then
exactly.
if the date goes well, then you have a second date. Yeah, it's, and I'm glad, you know, we get to share this film conducting career together. So it's
Yeah.
really fun.
Now it's like, hey, have you done Wizard of Oz
I-
before?
you
Should
know.
I accept this one? Is it hard? You know, like
Well, so for our viewers, we have to share this. Like when we encounter a film engagement, we kind of connect with each other and be like, Norman, how difficult is this one? How much preparation time does it require?
Yeah.
Is it should we give this to someone else, or can you do it? Like, you know, I can't do it, but can you step in for me? You know, that kind of thing. We do have that conversation often. I want to make sure our viewers know where to reach you on social media. This is your Instagram page. People can find you at Norman Conductor. Wonderful photos from your travel and exciting photos from, you know, just like the film, not just film concerts, but your classic series. And please visit his Instagram, and his website is normanconductor.com. How's your motorcycle life going?
Not bad. I need to ride it more. I have no
Mhm.
excuse because, like you said, I don't have rehearsals that I need to be at. But it's still very fun. Every time I'm on there, it always feels like you're flying.
Yeah, it's a
Although
very
I'm not flying, it's
right.
speed
Yes,
wise, but yeah,
it's a very COVID-19 friendly
yeah,
activity to get
and I
yourself
don't even
out
need to
there.
put a mask on. I can just keep my helmet on wherever I go and just walk in with a motorcycle helmet into the gas station.
Yes. No,
I don't do that, but
this is also another common denominator that we have, because I've been riding motorcycles since I was 16.
wait,
So
really?
yeah.
I didn't know that.
I don't think I've ever told you, but yeah, I'm a motorcycle guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
You have a motorcycle in Tokyo?
Yeah, I used to. I just recently, so that after I got married, before I got married, it was gone. But I still love, you know, any opportunity that I have where I could rent a motorcycle. I try to do it, and, you know, just go for a quick ride. But it's always fun to have that outlet.
Definitely.
Great. Well, Norman, thank you so much for joining me
Thank
on the
you,
show
Kay.
today. And, you know, very, very excited about Bozeman Symphony, Organ Symphony. And I highly encourage all of you who are watching to just keep track of Norman and see what he's up to, because he's always up to something exciting.
Thanks, Kay.
Yeah, thank
Thanks
you
for
so
having me.
much. Of course. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share this video. ありがとうございました。チャンネル登録、いいね、そしてこのビデオをぜひシェアしてください。